instruments which we would be discussing in our today's class would be shares, debentures, shares, preference shares, which are part of ownership capital, debentures and bonds, which are part of debt capital, right? So the first one, which is a capital market instrument, is equity. Now, as we all know, equity is a share of, or as you call as, unit of ownership in a company, right? So again, there are different categories of equity shares, but primarily when we look into the nature of equity shares, they are related with the ownership of a company, right? And there are different varieties of or variations from the ordinary equity share. We would be discussing about equity shares with detachable warrants, shares with differential voting rights, non-voting shares, and sweat equity shares where we have employee stock option scheme, which would be brought under sweat equity shares. Okay. So the first one, equity shares with detachable warrants, means, as you can understand from the name itself, along with the ordinary equity share, there is a detachable warrant which can be separated and converted into, no, generally it is converted into shares on a future date. So these two. So you will have maybe 100 equity shares, and there is a right. It's not an obligation. Warrant is never an obligation. It's a right. If you want, you can purchase. You can convert your warrant into the equity shares on a future date as stipulated in the instrument. So equity shares with a detachable warrant is one type or one category which you can find when you are looking into the corporate capital structure. So they might go with issue of ordinary equity shares which just carry the voting right, and there is no variation in that. Or they can go with issue of maybe equity shares with a detachable warrant, which is like a sweetener, like the cream in a cake. It's an attraction, additional attraction for the equity shareholders to spend the money in the capital structure of the company. So here the shareholder is given with an option. It's actually a right to convert the warrant, the so-called warrant, by purchasing equity shares in future. It would be future oriented, maybe after 1 year or 2 year or 3 year. So that is what we call as equity shares with detachable warrant. Now, why we say that is detachable warrant? Because this warrant itself is traded in the capital market. It could be sold, right? So that's why we say it's not attached to the existing equity lot. It can be detached, and you can either exercise it or you can give it to somebody else, right? When we are talking about equity shares with differential voting rights, normally ordinary equity share, one vote, right? But the company can go with issuing differential voting right, like more than giving weightage to the voting right of existing equity shareholders. It can be more or it can be less. Less than what is really promised under ordinary equity shares. So maybe 10 shares is equal to 1 voting right, or maybe it can be like, 1 share is equal to 2 voting right, something like that. So that is what we call as differential voting rights. Normally, it will be 1 voting right for each share, but it's not like for another thought, 1 voting right for the shares held by a equity shareholder. But here what we have to see is, suppose one shareholder is given with a differential voting right, then definitely there is an adjustment which is made with respect to the voting right. It can be given higher weightage or lesser weightage. So that's what we call as differential voting right. Non-voting shares means these are shares which might be primarily they do not carry voting right. They cannot vote during some kind of corporate decisions being taken. They cannot exercise their vote. They do not have their voting right. But maybe these shares are issued at a discount, or maybe these shares are given with an option of additional dividend. additional percentage of dividend than that was available for ordinary equity shares. Now, sweat equity share is a category where, as the name indicates, it's actually a share that is allotted for your services which you have rendered during setting up or for the operation of the company. So that's for your effort. That equity share is issued as a reward for your effort in that particular company. Infosys was the first company to come up with the concept of issuing shares to the employees under the category of sweat equity shares. And again, there is another category which is called as ESOP, Employee Stock Option Scheme, where each employee is given with, when the company is planning to issue shares, employees are given with an option to be or to become the owner of the company by subscribing, by purchasing certain shares of this company at a very discounted rate, or sometimes it is given as a share of bonus. Shares are issued to the employees as a share of profit, as a share of profit in the company. So because they help the company for making the profit, right? So as a reward for that, the company may go with issue of employee stock option scheme. And in fact, that is with another objective, that you're giving the sense of ownership for your employees in the company. So the attitude towards the company can be different. See, if I don't own an asset, maybe I'll just use it and go. But if I really is an owner in that asset, then every effort in general case will be taken by me to protect that, to do the best to it, right? So that is the underlying principle behind the issue of sweat equity shares, or maybe employee under the sweat equity shares generally comes under the category of employee stock option scheme. So that again is the objective, that to give employees a kind of ownership within the company. So these are the general, but you have many other varieties which would be based on, maybe you will go with the issue of shares at a premium, issue of shares at a discount, or if you are issuing that above the face, the value, we will be calling that as issue of shares at a premium, right? So these are general categories which will be coming as types of equity shares. Shares issued at a premium, shares issued at a discount, shares issued at a deep discount, very low price. All these can be as an additional sweetener to the existing ordinary share. And what we have to understand here is equity share is always a unit of ownership in that particular company. So whatever left after paying the obligation of the company, maybe to the debt debenture holders or to the bond holders, and to after paying off all other fixed obligations and liabilities of the company, what is left with the company is something which is owned by the real owners, called as equity share holders, which we know, right? So first type of capital market instrument is equity shares, and we can see that when it comes to the secondary market, it's dealt in the stock exchanges. The company will be going with, we will learn that in detail at a later stage, but I'm just giving you an introduction. The company will go with listing its shares in the stock market, and then automatically they come into the secondary market, where shares are traded based on the demand and supply, based on the forces of supply. So the share price would be increasing if there is high demand in the market, and it might come down when there is a case of low demand for the company's shares. And we have also observed that any company results, any company's performance would be reflected in the share price of the company which is being traded in the stock market. And these shares can be traded in different stock markets within the country, or even in, suppose if I want to list my share, my company share in New York Stock Exchange, that's also possible in the current scenario where we talk about globalization and liberalization of the markets, right? So that's the context of equity shares, where it is looking into the long-term needs of corporates for their development activities. Now the next is preference shares. Here what we have to understand is preference shares give some preference to its owners with respect to payment of dividend as well as payment of principal amount at the time of winding up of the company. Dividend, suppose if the company earns profit to pay dividend, definitely preference shareholders will have a preference at the time of payment of this dividend over equity shares. Only after paying to the preference shareholders, equity shareholders can look up and take up the share. So that's a benefit to the preference shareholders. They are not the real owners, as we call from the equity shareholders perspective, even though it's coming under the ownership capital. For them, there is prescribed amount of dividend. It's not whatever left. You are being promised with what is it you are going to get at the beginning itself. Maybe 10% preference shares or 20% preference shares, depending on the conditions laid down by the company. And the types of preference shares can be redeemable and irredeemable. Normally, now in India, we cannot go with irredeemable preference shares because SEBI has given a guidelines that you can issue shares only with the maturity period of max of 10 years. So we do not have that in Indian context, but of course there are irredeemable preference shares which are very long run, which may be redeemed only at the time of winding up of the company. Redeemable preference shares, maybe they can be redeemed or cancelled. The money will be paid back by the company within a period of 2 year or 3 year or 4 year as the rules specify. So it can be cancelled and money can be repaid back to the shareholder. So that's what we call as redeemable preference shares. And irredeemable preference shares which do not in the normal case go with a cancellation, maybe at the time of winding up the capital is paid back to the shareholder. Convertible preference shares have an option. Convertible preference shares is having an option to convert that at a future date, maybe generally to equity shares, right? So convertible preference shares definitely have an option to convert it to some other form, maybe in normal case to ordinary equity shares. Participating preference shares means here generally we said at the beginning that there is a prescribed dividend percentage that is promised to the preference shareholders. But in case of participative, maybe they say that 20% of profit. It's not 20% of amount contributed. So automatically, I repeat, it's not 20%. If suppose if it is kept as 20% of the capital contributed in case of ordinary preference shares, in case of participative preference shares, it might be laid down as 20% dividend on the basis of profit. So they are actually getting a share from the profit itself. This 20% can vary. If profit is a huge amount, that 20% also can be a huge amount. If profit is thinner, of course, that 20% will be little less. So participating preference shares generally get a share from the profit, right? Instead of a fixed percentage from the amount contributed by them. So that's what we call as participating preference shares. Cumulative preference shares can happen in two ways. One is, suppose in a particular year, the company is not able to pay profit because they have incurred loss. If you have incurred loss, there is no share of profit that can be shared with your shareholders, right? So in such a case, when the company earns profit in future, in next year or after that, when the company earns profit, the profit which was not given, that is during the loss year, will be accumulated together and paid during the time of when they are distributing the profit, that is when they are earning profit. So they are not losing that amount which they had lost when the company is making a loss. So that is the profit will be accumulated and paid at a later stage. The share of profit will be accumulated and paid at a later rate. That is cumulative preference share. Then there is another category where there can be two ways of paying the dividend to preference shareholders. One is on a regular basis, another one at the time of redemption. When you're talking about paying the dividend at the time of redemption, that is what you call as cumulative. That also is coming under cumulative preference share. So there are two cases here which we can discuss. One is there is, in case of cumulative preference shares, there is no regular payment of dividend as it happens in case of ordinary preference shares. It will be paid at the time of redemption. That can be cumulative. Or there can be case two, where in a particular year there was no profit. The company was making loss. So in that year, company did not give dividend to the preference shareholders, but they had an amount, it was due, right? So that amount which became due will be accumulated and paid at a later stage when the company makes profit and pay dividend to the shareholder and eligible or ready to pay dividend to the shareholders. So that maybe in 1920 the company made loss. So 1920's dividend is not paid by the company in that year. But 2020 the company had a good condition. The company made profit. So in that case, the company will pay 2020 dividend plus the accumulated portion of 1920. So that's what we call as cumulative. So cumulative can be in two ways. Both can be applicable as the case may be. Then preference shares with warrants means, again the case is here in this case you have one under preference share category. Second is a warrant, which if you want at a later stage can be converted generally into equity shares. Okay, so that is what we call as preference shares with warrant. This warrant is detachable and it can be converted into what it is meant for. Normally it is equity shares. So this is again that is given as a sweetener, as an additional attraction to the existing preference shares. So we talked about two types of ownership capital. One is equity capital and second one is preference share capital. Okay, preference shares, and both of them contribute to the capital structure of a company, and that's why we say that it is long-term in nature. The next one is debentures. Debentures, and the forthcoming one is bonds. Both are debt instruments, or as you say, it's not ownership. They are considered as a debt in the capital structure of a company, like a loan. Okay, like a loan where you go with an instrument. You issue an instrument called debentures. Normally, suppose if you are a very new company and people are not aware about your operation, it will be very difficult for you to go with issue of debentures, because debentures generally just carry a promise from the company to repay it back, right? But bond, in normal case, there would be some kind of mortgage bonds. That is, some assets of the company will be pledged against the issue of bonds. So at the time of beginning, during inception, a company might think of going with an issue of bond, whereas debentures are normally issued during the course of business to meet the capital requirement of the company. So debentures are debt instruments, and there are, as I said, there are different types of debentures: secured debentures and unsecured debentures. See, as you call, secured means it is secured against the assets of companies. That's what we call as secured debentures. In case of unsecured debentures, you don't have any asset backing up the debentures, promising up. That is, what is the importance of that? Suppose if the company is not able to pay the principal amount, the company incurred total loss. In that case, what the company can do is they can sell the asset and pay to secured debentures. That will happen to secured debentures. Unsecured debentures, only at the end, if something is left, will be paid before the equity shareholders or preference shareholders. But secured debenture holders, definitely they will get the money by selling off the assets for which it is backed up, right? So it is more safe. Then bearer debentures. Bearer debentures means they come under the category of negotiable instruments. Whoever is having it will be paid with the, whoever holds the debenture instrument during maturity will be paid with the amount. So the bearer is given with the amount. It's not mandatory that it is to be in your name. Whoever is the bearer to that instrument, he will be repaid with and also paid with the dividend. So that's why it is coming under negotiable instrument category. Now, registered debentures means normally all debentures are registered, but what we call registered means it is entered in the official list, official register of the company. Normally the company, when they go with an issue, it will be entered in the official list of the company. But in certain cases, sometimes it can happen that the company is just issuing for a temporary purpose, so it may not happen. But in the current perspective, only registered debentures are promoted by SEBI and other regulatory bodies. Otherwise, tracking would be difficult. Redeemable debentures means maybe those debentures which can be redeemed, which can be cancelled, which can be called back, right? That's what we call as redeemable debentures. Convertible debentures means they have an option to convert itself into another form, normally equity or preference shares. So convertible has an option to convert into another form at a future date. That's what we call as convertible debentures. Non-convertible debentures means no option to convert at a future date, but it has another sweetener called detachable warrant. They have a warrant which can be converted into generally equity shares. So that's what we call as non-convertible debentures with detachable warrants. So debentures can be of secured debentures which is backed up by assets, or unsecured debentures which do not have any asset backing up. Bearer debentures paid to the holder, whoever is holding, whoever is bearing or holding that instrument on the date of maturity. Registered debentures means those which are entered in the official list of the company going with the issue of debentures. Redeemable debentures means they are cancelled, or they can be redeemed during the course of business. Convertible debentures have an option to convert that into maybe to share, maybe to preference shares, maybe to ordinary shares, right? So it's like making your debt instrument little attractive to the investors. That's a basic idea behind going with different types of forms of debentures. Then non-convertible, you do not have an option to convert that primary debentures into any other category, but you are given with sometimes there can be non-convertible with or without detachable warrants. If it is with detachable warrants, what you have to understand is there would be a as we call a warrant which has an option to convert that into maybe to equity shares or preference shares on a future day, generally to equity shares. So that's what we call as convertible. And the last one which we would be discussing in the class is bonds, but I think it would be good that we carry to the next class. So in our today's class, we have gone with three types of capital market instrument. First one, share. Second one, first one is share. Second one is as we call as debenture. No, second one we discussed of preference shares, and the third one is debentures. Now, share is a unit of ownership. When we talk about equity shares, they are the ordinary shareholders of a company. And when we talk about preference shareholders, they are shareholders who enjoy some kind of preference with respect to payment of dividend and payment of principal amount when you compare with the ordinary shares. Only after paying to the preference shares, the company would be taking care of the equity shareholders. But what you have to understand here is, in case preference shareholders, there would be a stipulated promised amount. It may not be beyond that. But for equity shares, whatever is left after disposing all the charges against the company's asset, that belongs to equity shareholders. So that's attraction in that they are the real owners. They have voting rights. They can participate in the management of the company, and we have also learned about different forms of the shares or debentures or bonds. Yes, bond we are yet to discuss in our tomorrow's class, but we discuss about debentures. Debentures talk about a debt instrument which is issued by companies for meeting their long-term capital requirement. Debentures, since it is debt instrument category, does not carry any voting right. Okay, and we discussed about different forms of debentures.